Fidel here. This is my daughter Mia. You've probably seen before. Now she's a little bit older than the last time she made a margarita. How old are you now, Mia?
7.
7 years old. Okay. So today we're going to be making quite a bit of pizzas, and it's very, very unscripted. But I'm also going to try to remember some of the frequently asked questions, either under the videos in the comment section or stuff that's been sent to me via private message. I'll try to answer some of those questions as I go, but I'd like to show you a little bit of my setup here. Today we are using my little oven, which is the Pizza Party oven, which is made in Italy. If you need some information about how to get one of these, they're great little ovens. Please let me know. You can just leave comments and I'll get back to you about that. But they're really great ovens. They're very sturdy, and right now I've had this fire going for a little bit. I just moved everything over about 10 minutes ago, and so it's still heating up. The bottom looks like it's roaming right near 700 degrees Fahrenheit on the floor. Towards the back, it's a little, it's about 740, about 730, 740 degrees in the back. And up front, it's about 540 degrees. And as you can see, we've got a thermometer here, but this only tells you the temperature that's furthest away from the fire and furthest from the back. So you could probably add, well, that one says 200, you could probably add a couple hundred to that, and you'd know the general temperature in the center of the oven. I like to start the fire in the middle and move things over. One of my friends has the same oven. He just starts the fire on the right side and just, lets it heat up. It probably doesn't matter. I'm just in a habit of doing that. But once I got the fire going, I usually leave the door open just a little bit so it allows the oxygen to come in. And show you some of the tools that I use. Like you just saw, I keep one of these laser thermometers. These aren't that expensive. You could probably get them for about 20 or 30 bucks, maybe cheaper depending on where you're at. They come in very handy. Other things for safety, I like to use welder's gloves. More than they're a little bit better suited to fire and things like that than, say, oven mitts, but use these. I keep 2 different brushes here. One is kind of elongated, and this is good for sweeping out in corners and sweeping everything to the side. Whilst I have this basic one for brushing things forward. And a bucket, of course, bucket with water, because if you don't moisten your brushes, you'll find them burnt up the next time you look at them. Another tool I use here is something like this, which is kind of like a little flamethrower. You can buy these little gas cans here in Japan, and they connect and they throw a flame out that side, and that helps to get the fire going. In case you're wondering how I start a fire, there's another video on my channel about how I start a fire. In this particular oven, I like to start a fire from the top down, which means I put small pieces at the top, start the fire at the top, and as that burns, the larger pieces down at the bottom start to heat up. They ignite later, and thus they last longer and provides longer support for the fire. But I do that in this oven. Mostly because there's less space in here. So because there's less space, I need to get something going pretty quick, and that helps me to get a quick fire with very, very little amounts. You probably see there's very little smoke right now. If I add something, it'll probably smoke up a bit, but as soon as it ignites really well, the smoke will be gone. So while that's running, I'm going to show you a little bit of what I have around my home. You probably haven't seen much of around my home. We're going to go this way a little bit, and you're going to see some of the firewood logs that I keep. This way is south, so I'm keeping these logs here facing the south, so they get plenty of sun. Eventually these are going to get split before the spring is out. So these were cut about 1.5 years ago. So they're not quite seasoned, but they're getting pretty close. I've been splitting them anyway, and they're drying out pretty quick. So I got a whole bunch here. I got more firewood on the other side. Let's take a walk around that side. You can see the scenery around my home. If you're going to be hauling around a portable pizza oven, you probably need something like a minivan or something like I have here. I was hauling mine around in a smaller RAV4, but I just bought this one about 1 year ago, and my RAV4, I've said goodbye to it. That was about 14 years old, that car. Over here you can see I have more logs I can split. This one still needs to have a chainsaw taken to it and you know, kind of portioned out. Got more logs here, and as you can see on the left side of my pizza oven, we've got lots of split wood stacked and just sitting there gathering up the weather, you know. So I don't care about covering that. I'm gonna let the wind and rain and sunshine just do its thing. Eventually, when I need to, I'm going to move that firewood, and there's more here too, and there's some behind the pizza oven. So this is my big pizza oven, my big baby. And then eventually I'll end up moving that stuff over here when all of this gets depleted. I'll start moving that stuff into here. Okay, but this is the use first section. So you've probably seen some of my videos about how to tell if your firewood is dry or not. You know, so I probably won't go into that, except for if you hear a nice clank, it's dry. If you hear a clunk, it's not dry. It probably needs several more months. Most of this is pretty much fine. Every once in a while I run into one that has a little bit more moisture than another, but for the most part this is all well seasoned and dry. So I'll be using this. Another trick you can use for speeding up the drying of your firewood is after you've baked pizza in a larger oven like this guy here, you can wait until it kind of drops to around 150 degrees Fahrenheit or so, and then you can load a bunch of firewood into your oven. I would put the door on, but I would also leave it slightly ajar to allow some of the moisture, to allow the moisture to escape. You don't want to just box in your firewood and have all that moisture just build up and you know, turn into mildew or something like that. So if you're going to dry firewood in an oven, it's kind of called kiln dried firewood. If you're going to do that, crack open the door a bit so the moisture can escape. Okay, that's just another tip. Let's just leave that there. This yeah, what's this wire? It kind of well, once I got it in there nicely, it keeps the door from coming off in heavy winds. Okay, I guess that's pretty much it about around my home, my firewood, and things I have in use. Well, let's. Oh, another thing I'll explain. When I split firewood, and in case you're splitting your own firewood, you'll end up having pieces like this left over. Make sure they're nice and dry, and you can stick them into a bucket, and then cover them and keep these as kindling, so there's no waste. And you can start your fires rather quickly if you have lots of little shavings and things like that to start. Okay, that's about it. I think maybe our fire is ready. The oven's probably hot enough. Let's go ahead and